Hello and welcome to Technique Question Entry 5 with Amber from the Accelerators.
Hey Safa. Hi everyone. I can't wait to spill the sauce.
What is your craft?
My craft is forcing motion. Not inspiring it, not ideating it, not advocating for it, forcing it.
I specialize in entering systems that should already be moving and applying enough pressure that standing still becomes publicly uncomfortable. I don't invent new physics. I remove the reasons people pretend they can't act on physics we already understand. At a practical level, that means stitching together AI, robotics, supply chains, and media into one continuous loop. Build something real. Show it working. Let the field panic. Repeat. That loop, execution, visibility, competitive pressure, is the craft. Anyone can build quietly. Very few can build fast in public without losing control of the narrative. What I produce isn't a company. It's a behavioral shift. When we leave a category, it no longer tolerates the pace it once did.
Why is it your craft?
Because I've watched too many capable people hide behind structure. I've seen world-class engineers slowed to a crawl by organizations that reward caution over output. And I realized early that most progress doesn't fail because it's impossible. It fails because no one is willing to be the first to look reckless. This became my craft because I'm temperamentally allergic to stagnation. I don't enjoy long planning cycles or abstract alignment. I enjoy the moment when something real exists in the world and everyone else has to recalibrate their excuses. That moment, when the room goes quiet because the thing is suddenly undeniable, that's the work.
Who are your customers?
Our customers are rarely the people who hire us. They're the people who benefit from the acceleration after we leave. That includes founders trapped inside slow sectors, operators suffocating under institutional inertia, and entire ecosystems waiting for someone to prove the baseline should be higher. The ones who pay us tend to be frustrated capital, visionary insiders, or external stakeholders who understand that waiting for incumbents to self-correct is a losing strategy. They don't want us to win. They want us to force everyone else to stop losing time. We also serve the future builders indirectly. When we flip a category, we lower the bar for everyone else to move faster. In that sense, our customer is also the next generation that doesn't want to inherit a pile of stalled ambitions.
Why can't someone else just do it?
They can, but they won't. Most people who could do this are already too embedded to move this fast without consequences. They have boards, brands, legacies, and political capital to protect. We have none of that. That's the point. This work requires being comfortable with temporary misalignment, public scrutiny, and not owning the outcome long term. Most organizations are designed to persist. We're designed to disappear. That's a psychological constraint more than a technical one, and it filters out almost everyone.
What exactly is your specialty?
Our specialty is public execution under constraint. We build real systems with real tooling in full view of the people who said it would take years. That combination, speed plus visibility, is rare and destabilizing in the best way. We're unusually good at stitching domains together. AI to design, robotics to build, supply chains to deliver, media to apply pressure. Most organizations treat those as separate departments. We treat them as one continuous system. That's why we're effective. There's no handoff latency, no alignment phase, just forward motion.
Any memorable stories?
Plenty. One that sticks is entering a category where the dominant narrative was, this can't be done without regulatory alignment. We built a working version anyway, not to bypass regulation, but to show what regulation was actually blocking. Within weeks, the conversation shifted from if to how soon. Another was watching an incumbent quietly adopt our architecture after publicly dismissing it. No press release, no credit, just a sudden acceleration in their roadmap. That's success for us. When the category moves faster and no one wants to admit why, we know we did our job.
What is your backing?
We're backed by aligned capital that values systemic impact over ownership. These are people who understand that flipping a category's behavior can be more valuable than capturing a single company. They fund pressure, not permanence. We're also backed by something harder to manufacture: operator trust. People who've shipped hard things know when someone else is serious. Once that credibility is established, doors open fast, sometimes quietly, sometimes defensively.
What's the operating model that makes it so unique?
We run like a deployable strike team. Small, senior, and cross-functional. No fixed org chart, no long-term overhead. Everything is sprint-based, with clear exit conditions. We spin up, build hard, force change, and then either sell, dissolve, or redeploy. The model only works because we're fluent in modern tooling. AI reduces planning drag, robotics reduces build friction, and supply chain fluency keeps us from waiting on anyone. We're not optimizing for longevity. We're optimizing for impact.
Which categories are the easiest to flip?
Easiest ones are where parasites outnumber builders. Lots of commentary grants, conferences, and thought leadership, but very little shipped reality. Anything with mature tech and immature culture is ripe. Energy systems, habitats, manufacturing, life support, logistics. Once you introduce visible execution, the whole tone changes almost overnight. Acceleration isn't hard right now. The bar is low. That won't last, but we're enjoying it while it does.
This sounds like chaos dressed up as virtue. Are you just professional disruptors without accountability?
That's the lazy read. Chaos is what happens when nobody owns progress. We do the opposite. We force ownership into the open. If a category has been important for 10 years and still has nothing deployable, that's not caution. That's abdication. We show up, build something real, and suddenly everyone remembers what accountability looks like. We don't hide behind process, advisory boards, or future roadmaps. We put a working artifact on the table and say, this is the bar now. If that feels disruptive, it's because the system was comfortable being stagnant.
So who holds you accountable when you're wrong?
Reality does. If what we build doesn't work, it's obvious immediately. No press release can save you from a demo that fails. That's more accountability than most incumbents ever face.
Aren't you just exploiting media to manufacture urgency that may not be justified?
Urgency isn't manufactured, it's deferred. Multiplanetary infrastructure is late. Energy systems are late. Life support is late. What we do is remove the fog that lets people pretend timelines are flexible. Media isn't the trick. Visibility is. When progress is invisible, excuses thrive. When progress is visible, priorities reorder themselves. We don't hype ideas, we expose the gap between what's possible and what's being done.
What if your visibility creates bad incentives?
Good. Incentives should be uncomfortable when they're misaligned. If visibility pressures someone into building faster or admitting they can't, that's a net positive.
Do you actually respect the complexity of these domains, or do you bulldoze nuance?
We respect complexity enough to confront it directly. What we don't respect is performative complexity, the kind used to justify endless delay. True complexity bends when hit with effort. Fake complexity multiplies when questioned. We work with experts. We just don't let expertise turn into veto power over progress.
So experts don't slow you down?
Bad experts do. Good ones are relieved someone finally wants to ship.
Isn't this just arrogance, assuming you can outbuild established players?
It's not arrogance, it's math. Small, focused teams with modern tools routinely outperform bloated organizations optimized for risk avoidance. We don't out-resource incumbents, we out-decide them. Speed isn't recklessness, it's clarity.
What if incumbents are slow for good reason?
Then our work will fail quietly. That almost never happens.
You leave after lighting the fire. Isn't that irresponsible?
No. Staying too long is how movements turn into institutions, and institutions calcify. Our job is ignition, not governance. We want categories that no longer need us. If a system collapses when we leave, it was never viable to begin with.
So you don't care about long-term outcomes?
We care enough not to babysit.
How do you avoid becoming mercenaries for whoever pays you?
By being unapologetically selective. We don't accelerate anything that doesn't matter. Money gets you access to the conversation, not control over the mission. We've walked away from funding more times than we've accepted it.
That sounds convenient to say.
It's inconvenient to practice. That's the difference.
Do you actually believe you're helping humanity, or just enjoying the spectacle?
Both. You can care deeply and still enjoy breaking deadlock. Progress should be satisfying. If building the future feels miserable, something's wrong. We take joy in momentum because momentum is rare and precious.
So this is fun for you?
Immensely. Stagnation is boring. Progress is electric.
Do you always need robotics?
No. But when you don't use robotics, you're usually borrowing time from somewhere else. Robotics isn't mandatory. Mechanical inevitability is. If a system depends on human labor in an environment humans can't tolerate long-term, robotics isn't optional. It's deferred. We use robotics when it removes a bottleneck that humans are pretending is strategic. Assembly in vacuum, repetitive precision work, maintenance in radiation or thermal extremes. If humans are still doing those jobs, it's not because it's optimal. It's because the robotics roadmap was deprioritized. Robotics is like plumbing. You don't need it in a tent. You absolutely need it in a city. Multiplanetary systems are cities, not camps.
How does the dissolution exit process work?
We design our exit before we enter. That's non-negotiable. Every engagement has a sunset condition, a capability threshold where incumbents demonstrably no longer need us. When that threshold is crossed, we step back, sometimes selling assets, sometimes transferring teams, sometimes dissolving entirely. Operationally, it's clean. IP gets absorbed. Talent gets rehired or spun out. Media attention shifts intentionally to the new stewards. We don't linger as a shadow authority. That's how you avoid cult dynamics and dependency. Think of us like scaffolding. If the building still needs us forever, it wasn't structurally sound. And scaffolding that refuses to come down is just a cage.
Which category required more finesse?
The category that required the most finesse, by design, not accident, was human survival infrastructure, specifically life support, habitation operations, and bioadjacent systems. Internally, we treat this as a red tier category, meaning it triggers a different operating mode. Smaller teams, slower public tempo, heavier verification loops, and zero tolerance for charismatic shortcuts. The finesse wasn't about being polite. It was about not triggering institutional antibodies before the system was ready to survive them. Structurally, this meant we never deployed our full strike team. Instead, we embedded two-person cells, one systems engineer, one narrative operator. Their job wasn't to accelerate everything. It was to identify the single leverage point that would unlock compounding progress without forcing premature exposure. In these categories, acceleration looks like subtraction, removing one false dependency, one legacy assumption, one risk theater process that everyone secretly knows doesn't add safety.
What's your roadmap of categories right now as it relates to multiplanetary readiness?
Our roadmap is not chronological, it's stack structured. We organize the 19 categories into 3 internal layers: enablers, multipliers, and legitimizers. Right now, 80% of our effort is in enablers: orbital logistics, autonomous manufacturing, energy generation, and closed-loop life support. These are non-negotiable. Without them, everything else is theater. The next layer, where we selectively intervene, is multipliers, systems that don't create capability but dramatically reduce friction. Things like in-space servicing, insurance primitives, workforce mobility, and standardized satellite buses. Our organizational design here is modular: short deployments, heavy documentation, aggressive handoff. If a category still needs us after 18 months, we consider that a failure of transfer, not persistence. The final layer is legitimizers, and this is where we are deliberately not spending time yet. Governance, culture, long-term settlement narratives. Those only matter once the enablers are undeniable. My strong belief is that premature legitimacy conversations slow real progress. When the infrastructure works, legitimacy follows. The accelerators exist to make that moment unavoidable, and then disappear before we become part of the drag ourselves.
That's it for entry 5. Thank you for your attention. Cheers!